Some of y'all may know his daughter, Priscilla Schreiber,
That's right.
who was in War Room.
War Room.
And there's a new movie right now that's out.
Yes.
Both of them phenomenal. And some of this lesson, part of this lesson comes from Dr. Tony Evans. He did something, you can go watch it too as well, I think it's on YouTube, the dynamic of powerful prayer. And so, iron sharpens iron. I listen to people where I can actually get sharp by. Some of y'all are iron, but you're listening to the wood. Some of y'all are iron, but you're messing up with rubber. And so you may be breaking them with your iron, and they're making you dull.
Say that.
See, if you don't have iron sharpening you, even in marriage, y'all should be sharpening one another. It should be coming together so that sparks are flying.
Yes.
And I mean, there's a fire, a spark of momentum, of movement. Just to hear him say that he's praying more in his marriage.
That's it.
Somebody been praying. You cannot become sharp by always. Now, iron is there too. Sometimes you have to sharpen people because we let us strong enough to bear the infirmities of the weak. I understand that. You got to be the word for folks that are weak sometimes, and you may be the carrier in order to bring somebody strong.
Amen.
But when you are strong and you want to continue to enlarge your, you're going to see me say this a lot, capacity with God, because the only way that you can get more powerful with God is that you got to get more of God. And you need to write that down right now because we're dealing with that. You cannot, a lot of people are not as powerful. You're only as powerful as much as you know about God. The more God you know about, the more powerful you become. I mean, that's power 101. Okay? If you're limited in knowing about God, then I guarantee you'll be limited in power. And I'm going to deal with that in Ephesians 3 because Paul says it's one of the prayer. And one of my favorite verses is in chapter 3, beginning at verse number 14, that I always say, exceedingly abundantly. I'm going to deal with that and break that into pieces so that you understand. So iron has to sharpen iron. It is my job as your pastor every Sunday to give you a word. I cannot complain about what I do on Saturday night because God's got to deal with me and sharpen me so I can come in here and give you a word so that when you leave here, you're not just leaving happy that you shouted, but you're leaving that I got something I can live with.
Yes. Amen. That's right.
I'm leaving here with some power. I'm leaving here now. Now I understand why it's important to pray. Now I understand why it's important to give. Now I understand why I'm living this way, why my lifestyle has completely changed, why I'm not the way that I used to be 12 years ago or 5 years ago, because I'm getting closer to God. How many in here want to get closer to God?
Amen.
I mean, I know you've been running for Jesus a long time, and I know you say you ain't tired yet. I can never be tired with running for Jesus because he always outruns me. I'm not running with him. He's actually ahead of me, and I'm trying to follow him. And by the way, I'm still learning about him more and more and more. First question. We're going to be dealing with the concept of power. Introduction I gave you on Sunday. I'm going to come back to that text and really dig back into what we preached on Sunday. Maybe not tonight, but probably in another session. But what is power? Okay, that's good. Somebody write that down. Somebody said energy. Somebody write that down for me. I can't put it on the board. Energy. Power can be energy. What kind? Okay. What else? Somebody said strength. What else is power? I did some with the circuit breaker today because I had to get this outlet to work over here. Though you have an outlet, there was nothing going in it. Current. It's a current, right? And current means a movement. Current means also it's life. Power is life. It's alive. There's something that has motion. It moves. There's a current in there. You do not stick your finger in there. You don't touch the third rail of a train, for example. Because even though the train's not there, you know there's something moving on it. All right, and some of you should see yourselves at that kind of current. Everybody can't touch you because you're just too powerful. I just said something right there. I can't mess with Yvette because if I touch Yvette, I might just get shot. Right? That's why I said iron sharpens iron because if I'm wood, she could cut me. She could break me. All right. What else? What else is power? What does power have? Come on, y'all. Come on. Let's make this big. Don't try to get super spiritual. I know we're back to Bible. Just talk about your job. Who has the power in your job?
Power is words.
Power can be words. Absolutely. There you go. What's the word? Power is authority. Who has authority level in your life?
God.
Right. And do you have authority over anything? I hope you do. Unless someone's always willing. I know God, but also, who also has authority in God?
You
have power.
You.
Yes. Who's ruling you?
You.
Right. God says, I'm giving you me so you have my spirit so that you can live. I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. But every day that you go out, you got to make the choice that I'm going to die so he can live in me, through me, and all around me. That's what Ephesians begins to say. Right? Right? So who else has power? You as what? You as what?
Believers.
Thank you. Come on. It's sad to have a day of believers who don't have power. But I believe there are many believers who are not connected. I'm going to deal with that. Because I believe that many people believe in God, they're just not connected to God. I can believe God and still not have a disconnect. I'll give you a story that Tony Evans said in a minute that just blew my mind because he's absolutely right on his analogy. But here's the thing is, I can believe God and still want God at a distance.
True.
You know, I can come to church and not have power. And a lot of people do every Sunday. What else is power? Power is authority. How about the ability to influence?
What about government?
What about the ability, hold on one second, the ability to influence?
True.
Right? People have power over you when they can control you by the words that they say. Joe was right on it by words, right? That words can be influence over somebody. A supervisor has influence over their supervisees, right? Who their employees. Because you're the supervisor, I respect you because you're supposed to know a little bit more than me, I hope. Since you're trying to give me, sometimes they don't, but that's okay. But they're in the seat of authority. They can make decisions that can impact, watch this, someone else's life. And watch this, Christians, you definitely have the authority that can impact someone else's life. I know we don't like to do that, and we're always talking about us. So I think the problem with us now is that we've gotten so us-minded that we forgot there's a world out here that still needs to be saved. But because we got to deal with so much of our issues, which I hope that we can get over, because there's a world out here that still needs to be saved. All right. At some point, you got to have victory over what you've been through, so that you become the living testimony to win somebody else. You got to become a light. Let's write that down. Say this with me. I got to become a light. I have to become a living testimony. Your job is not to just be saved and be sitting up in here talking about all the stuff you've gone through and all that. Your job is really to go and be therefore and make disciples. You're supposed to be showing somebody else Jesus. And if that is not what you're doing, then you have missed the co-mission. You have no mission. My mission is not to show how great I am, not how much talent I have, not even my gift. My gift, because guess what? God has a complete toolbox. When he wants a screwdriver to screw in a screwdriver, he's not going to pull out a hammer. He's going to pull something from that box. And guess what? All of you are in that toolbox. And all of you are in contexts and areas and arenas where God wants to use you, watch this, to influence somebody else with the power of him in you. Not you, him in you, which is going to be in this text. Him in you so that he gets the real glory out of your life. It's a real responsibility. It's an accountability thing. And I don't think that many Christians understand who they hold. That's why you can't have a breakdown every time you get a bad letter. You can't have a breakdown every time something negative comes your way. The first thing you need to do is, like, when you get it, take it to the Lord. I don't get this with pastors and preachers and evangelists. Every time they get a problem, they start crying. They start having a breakdown. My first thing is, did you talk to God about it? Did you take your little letter that you just got in the mail and put it on the altar? Or did you put it up there and say, Lord, I just received this. I read what it said, but God, you knew what it said before I even got it. You knew what kind of mail I was going to get today. This is nothing but of the devil, God, and I'm sending it right back because, God, here it is. I'm going to let everybody else know, devil, you cannot have my home. Somebody say strategize. All right, if you want to have power, power is also a strategy to win. All right, I don't sit here and sit in defeat and wait for something to happen. All right, you as a believer, God gives you strategies on how to win. Moses, what is that in your hand? Why are you looking at me?
Right. Stretch out.
You'll see in front of me, Egyptians behind me. I'm encased by two mountains on both sides of me, and I got the Red Sea in front of me, and the promised land is over the Red Sea. Now, God, if it's over there, you're going to have to make a way to get me through there. So he said, what are you looking at me for? What is that in your hand? I told you that to throw down your rod a long time ago when I called you.
Come on now.
See, y'all just missed this. You've had the rod all the time. I gave you the rod and the assignment when I initially chose you.
Right.
See, we get chosen and then we get in the battle and we forget what God said. Oh, this is good word. God, I feel sorry for those that come tonight. Your power is also in remembering what God has said over your life. If you stop believing what God said and stop believing what everybody else said,
Come on.
they become the small G